It's the Subaru. It's back. Look at that plaid Rom seats with the Momo steering wheel. That engine is coming out of the car. Not just the engine, the front axles, rear axles, front hubs, the whole exhaust, front and rear sway bar, end links, sway bars, and sway bar mounts, new intercooler. Oh boy, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. New intake, a whole lot. New timing belt, water pump kit, and whatever else. Alrighty. So I have started working on the passenger side, and as you can see, I've got the axle out, and I have the whole wheel hub out. There's the axle. So that's all out. What I'm going to be replacing is the spindle and the wheel bearing, which is in there. That part. This is smoked. So I'm gonna get the other side off, axle out, and then I'm going to be pressing out the old spindle and bearing, and then pressing in the new stuff. So I got both hubs, both axles out, everything is out. The dust guards, the dust shields for the rotors are off. This is the passenger hub, that's the driver hub, driver axle, passenger axle. So it's all apart. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these spindles pressed out with the old bearings. The hubs, I'm gonna have to wait on those because I need to get a tool, press them out. I gotta get a press or a fixture for the press. I have a press, but anyway. So what I'm doing now is I took out the shifter arm to do the rear and front shifter bushings. So you can see here, this is the rear shifter bushing, and this is the front shifter bushing. So we have. There you go.
Where you put them?
Oh. You open up the passenger door. So, he has gotten some 541 Motorsport front and rear bushings, shifter bushings. So, I'll show you how these go in. This is the back one. And these are the front ones. It's the front ones, and this is the back one with some new bolts. So these are in, and I'm going to put this back in the car. That front and rear shifter bushing are in. Those are good. Some new some AutoZone lower ball joints for those hubs. So I'm going to get working on those hubs and get the new spindles, bearings, and the seals in. What I've just done is taken the front sway bar end links off. So now what I'm going to be doing is attempting and going to be getting the front sway bar out. The sway bar is out. I was actually able to get a wrench in here on this stud where the sway bar mount goes, like that. I was actually able to get a wrench on that stud and get the nut off. I thought I was gonna have to drop the subframe a little bit, but I was able to get it out. So the sway bar is out. Here's the sway bar. So I'm gonna be upgrading stock sway bar to a white line 24mm, I believe, sway bar, and to accommodate the 24mm, there's going to be new rubber for the sway bar. So rubber is going to be here in about a day. Once it gets here, we're going to throw the new rubber in the old mounts and then throw the new sway bar in. As for now, what I'm going to get to next is I'm going to be taking the back wheels off and I'm going to be taking out the rear axles and replacing the rear axles as well. The rear sway bar, which should have taken 15 minutes to take off, has turned into a probably 2+ hour job. And I'll show you why. So here's the rear sway bar end links, sway bar mounts, and what's really unfortunate that I'll show you. So I'm on the passenger side of the vehicle right now, and the sway bar mount bolts have snapped off. 2 on this side and 1 on that side, on the driver's side. So now, what I need to do is take off this canister so that I can get to that bolt right there and drill them out. So I'm gonna have to do that and then drill out that one over there as well. So that's just hilariously fun. But I guess that's what you get working on an old Subaru. Love is what makes a Subaru, huh? I don't know about that. Okay, so that's all done. The passenger side broken bolts for the sway bar mounts rear sway bar mounts are drilled out. Here is the passenger side. That one was good. That one was the one that I tried drilling it out and it wasn't working. So what I did is I took a nut and I welded it to the little bit that was sticking out, and luckily the remaining stud came out with the nut. As you can see right here, that is you can see where I drilled through it, but there's the stud. There's the nut that I welded on. So luckily that worked. And then here is the driver's side. Both are drilled out. The threads they're okay. They're good enough. You know, I ran a tap through them. So those are good. Oh boy, I had to take all this mumbo jumbo and that canister out. The canister brackets broke that go right here. That's not the end of the world. So now I'm going to have the pleasure of pulling out the rear axles. So I'm gonna have to disconnect the rear coilover. I'm going to have to most likely disconnect everything under here. This bolt, which runs all the way through, this bolt, the coilover bolts and nuts, so that way I can basically take the whole knuckle off so I can get the axle out. So I'm gonna work on doing that. If things couldn't get any more difficult with this rear end, the axle nut, I've been messing with it for an hour trying to get this axle nut off. This axle nut, which I have heated with a blowtorch for 5 minutes straight, got a breaker bar on it, got this long pipe on the breaker bar, shocked it with water, heated it up, impact gun, wrench, everything, and it still isn't coming off, and I snapped my breaker bar. So now I need to go get another 1/2-inch breaker bar, and I'm gonna have to get a 1-inch or a 3/4-inch breaker bar, because I don't know why this nut is so stuck on there. It's as if somebody cemented this thing on there, or super glued it, or put paint on the threads. I don't even know. But this is ridiculous. Anyway, so I'm gonna go get those breaker bars, and this goddamn nut is coming off, one way or another. So update on the axle nut. I got a 3/4-inch breaker bar, but I don't have a 3/4-inch to 1/2-inch adapter to fit my 1/2-inch 32mm socket. Nor do I really want to use an adapter, because I'm probably going to break it, because this nut, like I said, is absurdly tight. And hopefully not break anything, except break the nut loose. But stores are closed right now, so what I'm doing is I'm putting these H&R studs, I'm putting these extended H&R studs in the new hubs, and the way I'm doing that, you can see they're splined, and the way I'm doing that, because there's not really any room get back here to hit the studs in or press the studs in, is I'm putting the stud in, and then I'm using a washer like that, or some kind of piece of metal, and then I'm just using an old lug nut and then threading it on, and then just tightening the lug nut, which in turn is pulling the stud into the hub, or into the spindle. got the front sway bar bushings in. Here is the front line 24mm front sway bar, and then here are the white line end links. Here are the rear white line end links, sway bar end links. Here are the rear sway bar mounts and bushings. And then here is the rear white line sway bar. Pretty nice. So I'm gonna get that front sway bar in. Then what I'm gonna do is go to the back, get the back axles out, put the new axles in, put the new rear sway bar in, and then probably move up to the front, put the front axles in, the front hubs back in, and whatnot, put all that back together. Not connected yet, but sway bar is in. Alrighty, so I got the new axle out, and I got the hub in. For the most part, I just got the ball joint connected down here and then one bolt holding it up here. I'm going to disconnect this bolt, the coilover bolt, to move this out so I can get the axle in and slide it in to get it into the hub. And then I'm going to put the rest of this side together, move on over to the passenger side. Alrighty, so the passenger side is done. Got the sway bar and sway bar end link in. Obviously got the tie rod connected, got the axle in, the bolt. There are the H&R spacers, 15mm spacers, got the caliper on, brake line connected, the coilover connected back. So all of that is put back together. Now what I'm going to do is move to the back. I got a 1 1/4 inch socket, which is the same as a 32mm, 3/4 inch breaker bar, this pipe. Yeah, this axle nut's coming off. Replace change out the rear axles. Then put everything back together back here, the sway bar, the axles, the hubs, everything, and then I'll finish up back here. got the passenger side rear axle in, the new rear axle in. So that's good, got that all back together. Just have to put the caliper back on. I'm on the driver's side now, got the caliper off, and I got a new caliper because the old one is rusted to hell. The actual piston is basically rusted away and basically seized. So, new caliper. And for all you Subaru lovers, that is a snapped lateral link bolt. The lateral link bolt that goes right there for the lower part of the knuckle. Yeah, well, the head of that snapped off. So, got a new one of those right here. So now I'm gonna have some fun dealing with that snap bolt and getting that thing out. Well, I'm gonna take a little break just for a second from that bolt, lateral link bolt. I'm gonna put this this nice old cross member, front cross member, cross beam, whatever you want to call it. Put it on real quick right here because that lateral link bolt is giving me a really hard time. So let's do that. This is an OG Napak or whatever it is, whatever brand that is, but it's an OG. That was easy. Just goes right here. It's obviously loose. There's a plastic clip that goes right here on the bottom, in the center, and then that bolt. Eventually, it gets tightened down, and then the front cross member kind of goes right above it. Back to that lateral link bolt back here. Fun. Well, that was ridiculous, but I finally got the rod off, the bolt. So if you can see here, that's where the bolt goes through, and that's the bolt, or what's left of that side. I had to drill it out to free up the tension. So that's out of there. Now I need to figure out how to get it out of the knuckle, or at least out of that part of the knuckle. And then also get it out of that side. So onto that. It's gonna be fun. Okay. After, I don't even know, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours of drilling, I finally got, you can see, I drilled out that part of the bolt. That's the bolt. Now the bolt is hopefully not too stuck in the knuckle. I got both the rods free. I finally got the axle out. So now I need to get that bolt out of the knuckle. And then, oh man, this bolt has given me hell, I'll tell you that. Absolute hell. But I've emerged from the fiery depths of rusty bolts. And now, I'm gonna get that bolt out of the knuckle and then put everything back together. I probably look crazy right now. And I'm talking to myself. But it's okay. We're gonna get it done. I'm gonna get it done. Let's get it done. Woo! After several hours of painstaking drilling, fire, and hammer throwing and smacking, pounding, it's finally all apart. Finally. The bolt is coming out. So much trouble. Yeah, by the way, folks, this is supposed to look like that. Now on to putting everything back together. Finally. Now, what I'm going to be doing is putting the shift linkage bushings in, new shift linkage bushings. Everything back here is done. Everything is in. The new axle is in. The new lateral link bolt is in. Sway bar end links, sway bar mounts on both sides. It's all back together. Just have to put the new caliper on. Bless me. So now I'm gonna work on getting these on underneath, right under where the shifter is. Here is the old, there's the old linkage. That pin was kind of a pain in the ass. There is where the old linkage goes. You can see up in there. That's where the old linkage goes. Now it's time to put the new linkage in. So I'm gonna do that.
Time.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the new linkage in. Of course, it didn't just have to go in. It had to fight me all the way. I had to drill out the existing shift rod holes a little bit for the bolt to have clearance to slide through. Of course. But it's in there. The new shift linkage. The pin. There it is. Now what I'm going to do is put the lower shift rod on, lower shift arm. On to the next thing.